The purpose of this video is to discuss what predicts planned behavior. If you think back to the video on dual process models, the word planned is important here. It means we are dealing with controlled or deliberate processes. The aptly named theory of planned behavior argues that attitudes actually aren't the best predictors of behavior. Behavioral intentions are. To understand why this might be the case, let's think about my planned decision to recycle a can of cherry Coke or not. My attitude toward recycling is my evaluation of recycling, or how warm I feel toward recycling. That definitely sounds like it should predict whether I recycle. But behavioral intentions are conscious decisions to carry out specific actions. So the theory of planned behavior argues that my conscious decision to recycle this can of cherry Coke is the best predictor of whether I actually will recycle it. And that makes a lot of sense. But it also pushes the question about what predicts behavior back one step. Instead of asking what predicts behavior, we now have a new question. What predicts behavioral intentions? The theory of planned behavior argues three things predict behavioral intentions. The first is, of course, my attitude toward recycling this can of cherry Coke. The second is norms around recycling. If I'm in a situation where recycling is encouraged, then I'm more likely to recycle. And the third is something called behavioral control. You can think of this construct as how easy it is for me to recycle. Imagine I'm in my office and I just finished this delicious can of cherry Coke. I have a garbage can in my office, but to recycle I have to walk down the hall and around the corner. In this situation, the behavioral control is low. Compare that to this situation. I have a garbage can and a blue box in my office. Now behavioral control is high. Or you could even imagine a third option, which I have only a blue box in my office, but not a garbage can. Here, behavioral control would be extremely high. To sum up, the theory of planned behavior says that behavioral intentions are the best predictor of behavior, and the best predictors of behavioral intentions are specific attitudes, social norms, and behavioral control. But let's take a step back and think about what I mean by specific attitudes as opposed to just attitudes. Imagine the behavior I'm interested in is whether someone has used the birth control in the past 2 years. Which attitude do you think will be the best predictor of that? My attitude toward birth control? My attitude toward birth control pills? My attitude toward using birth control pills? You can see that these questions become more and more specific. And it turns out, the more specific the attitude, the better it is at predicting a specific behavior. On the other hand, a general attitude is predicting behaviors in aggregate. So a general attitude toward religion won't be a great predictor of whether you will attend religious services this week. A specific attitude, or a behavioral intention, is the best predictor of that specific behavior. But a general attitude will be a better predictor of a wide array of religious behaviors over time, attending services, reading holy books, etc. The final thing I will say about explicit attitudes and deliberate behaviors is that strong attitudes are better predictors than weak attitudes. When you have a strong attitude, that is often because you have more information about the attitude object, or you are personally involved with the attitude object, or you have direct experience with the attitude object, and that strong attitude is brought to mind more easily. It is more accessible. So when Wicker, back in 1969, argued there wasn't a lot of evidence that attitudes are strong predictors of behavior, he was right. But since then, researchers have done a great job of understanding what does predict our planned behaviors.